Yeah. What's going on, everybody? It's your favorite dating coach, Elliot Scott, and as you see by the title below, we're going to talk about something that I'm sure all you can relate to, something that's going through your mind constantly when it happens, and I'm going to give you a little closure, probably because he hasn't. Okay? Now, if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Just click the red button below. I'll love you forever, along with the bell notification. And if you want to work with yours truly or get my course, Attraction Academy, which goes into a lot more detail on this topic and other things I talk about in my videos, links are down in the description. So, here's the thing, ladies. It sucks when everything's going well, and then he suddenly loses interest. What's even worse is you don't know why. Sorry. What's even worse than that, if you don't know why, it sucks. But what's even worse than that is when things were going good 3 days ago or last week, he even said that he was having a good time, that you were awesome, and then all of a sudden, shit just hit the fan, and you're wondering, what did I do wrong? You're probably blaming yourself first, okay? Which is not the right thing to do. But that's another video. The first thing I want to talk about, I'm going to go over 4 reasons a guy loses interest, okay? And then I'm going to talk about why he lost interest in you, and then I'm going to talk about how to prevent it. But the first thing I want to kind of touch point on is the fact that you have to remember that in the beginning, it's always going to be intense. When I say beginning, that could be 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. I don't, it depends. Depends how much you see each other. Depends on how strong it is, intense it is, how fast, if you love bombs, all these things. But you have to remember in the beginning that it's like the honeymoon stage. It's puppy love. It's curiosity. It's going to be intense. Number 1. Number 2, he's going to love bomb you, okay? If he's an emotionally unavailable guy. But let's just say even if he is emotionally available, let's say it doesn't matter whether he wants to get in your pants or he wants a relationship. It's the courting process still. He's going to reach out. He's going to respond accordingly. Or within a reasonable manner. He's going to initiate. He's going to ask to see you. He's going to be frequent. He's going to be consistent. He's going to be all these things. Okay? And the most important thing to realize with all this is that the reason he is doing all that, okay, the consistency, the depth, the rapport, the intensity, besides the fact that it's new, it's fresh, you got to understand that the assets he's after, whether it's a relationship, whether it's just hanging out because you're fun, whether it's sex, whether it's good or bad, whatever, the context that you guys have isn't created yet. And when I mean context, I mean the layering process, like the things you guys do and say that kind of bundles up and changes the vibe or atmosphere of the relationship into something more serious. I mean, common sense, if you guys are consistent, saying I love you maybe, having sex, meeting as friends. Again, the consistency, talking, texting all day. You're not just some basic chick he met online anymore. There's some substance there, okay? And in the beginning, that's not really created. First couple months, it's not created. You're talking to a dude who does not see the consequences or the cost of his actions. So he's not worried about leading you on. He's not worried about where it's going. He's not worried about this or that. It's just 2 people hanging out, having fun, and hooking up, right? So you got to understand that it's always going to be intense. It's always going to be fresh. It's always going to be a little heavier in the beginning compared to what it is now. What you need to worry about is how harsh it dies off. If a guy really likes you, it's going to go like this, right? Again, it's the courting stage. He's always going to show interest. It's going to go like this though, and then it's going to naturally dive off into like more of a mating stage, something that's more realistic. Because again, all those nice dates, that first date, those wonderful dates, he can't do that all day every day. All those long talks on the phone, can't do that all day every day. But he likes you still, so it's going to mellow out to something like this. Now, you're probably watching this video because it went like this. Maybe love bombing or whatever, and then it just went straight down, right? And that's not pretty. So let's talk about, and I have all my notes right here. So let's talk about reasons why it does kind of die off. off. And the first thing I believe is that he is taking you and your assets for granted. And there's two reasons why this happens. One, and you're kind of familiar with this, I'm sure too, how guys are nowadays with all the quantity out there, is the things you offer, these assets, he can get from other women. And that if that's the case, then he has to wonder or maintain, or I guess be frugal with his resources, because resources are finite, right? They're limited: time, energy, effort, money, and things like that. And if he's already getting a lot of things from you, and at the same time he's not sure about a relationship, but he still likes you and doesn't want to just cut you off, and he likes the assets that you offer, again, he's not sure about you. Why not talk to somebody else? He's going to talk to somebody else, have his cake and eat it too, especially if he thinks he has you and you guys aren't official, and things like that. So maybe it's not that he's losing interest so much in you as it is him gaining interest in someone else, and or because the resources are finite, they're limited, he has to spread them accordingly, where in the beginning he was investing them heavily in you because he was trying to win you over. Again, it's the courting stage. Another reason why he might, this is still under taking you for granted. The other reason he might take you for granted is the fact that you were abundant with those resources. You were easily or readily available. You were eager. It was, if he went 0 to 100, you went along for the ride. It was fun. Of course, you're going to go along with it, right? And this gives the guy mentally a lot of security, knowing I have her. And if that's the case, and if guy wants an ego boost, if guy wants validation, if a guy wants more sex or more options or this, logically he's going to invest that in other women. Okay, so number one is the guy's taking you and your assets for granted. The second thing is, and this is a very common one, is you guys are just on two different pages. You're talking to a dude who likes you, but he doesn't want a relationship. And what women get really upset, with is they'll come to me and they'll say, well, Elliot, he doesn't want a relationship. Why is he keeping me around then? Well, because there's still assets to be obtained, right? Like, just because he doesn't want, I always tell women, just because a guy likes you doesn't mean he wants a relationship, and vice versa. Just because he doesn't want a relationship it doesn't mean he wants to kick you out of his life, okay? But if he knows that you want something more than him, he's not going to kick you out right away, because assets are still there, and he courted you to get those assets. But of course, like I said earlier, it comes at a cost. Now that the context is created, okay, meaning you guys are talking and texting and being consistent and having fun, hanging out, hooking up, the talks you guys had, the cuddles, again, there's some substance there now. And you should rightfully demand, and you should rightfully believe, unless he said otherwise in the beginning, that this guy wants a relationship. Well, I guess you shouldn't assume that, but I would assume that if you two like each other and things are going well, it should at least transition into something, which is where you should have the talk. But if a guy knows you want something more than he does, well, then it's not that he's losing interest. It's just that he's not willing to pay the cost. It's like, hey, I like what this is. I want to continue it. I think you're great, but not if that means I have to jump into a relationship, because that's just not what I want. I like you. I think you're great, which is why I've been doing this. But if that's what you're looking for, I'm not your guy. So that might be another reason why a guy loses interest, right? He's still interested, but it's not worth paying the cost. The third thing I have here is that I actually just kind of mentioned this. The assets aren't worth the liabilities. Hey, you're a great chick. You're fun. You're awesome. I'm just not willing to invest more because I don't want more. And I can tell you do. And I feel like if I keep on complying, it's telling you I'm on the same page when I'm not. Or if I keep on going along with this, it's telling you that, hey, things are okay and that I'm all about a relationship when I'm not. I feel like I'm leading you on. So examples I have here is that, of assets, but, kind of him wanting to cut you off because it becomes a liability or there's a cost, is that he wants to have sex with you, but he feels like he may lead you on. He wants to continue to talk to you, but he knows you're expecting a relationship. So he's like, I'm not about that. He wants to come over, but he's afraid you'll confront him. He wants to continue what you guys have, but if you want him to commit and he's not ready, that means he has to give up other women. He doesn't want to give up other women. That's a cost for him. That's why I tell women it's very important to understand what I said in the very beginning of this video, where you got to understand there's no cost. It's just two people talking, two people having fun, two people hanging out. And there's that puppy love. There's that intensity. It's the courtship. In the beginning, you're getting courted, okay? And there is no cost. There is no cost. But the context is naturally created by the desire of these intensities. I need to put that somewhere. The context is naturally created through the desire of these assets, okay? The intensity, or at least. So you got to remember that. And finally, the last thing here is, and I mentioned this, that the resources are finite. And if what you are offering him, he could get elsewhere. And if he's not looking for a relationship, why would he keep investing these in you when you're secure? Like it's like, I got her, and the guy wants validation elsewhere. Wouldn't it be just more beneficial for him to talk to somebody else? Now, if he wants a relationship, no, of course, you want to focus more on quality and depth and rapport and start transitioning into something more serious than to build a nest egg when you get to that point of marriage, kids, house. Well, I don't know, however far you guys get, or would like to get at least. But if a guy's not sure about a relationship, 9 times out of 10, he is going to talk to you and somebody else. That's just how it is. And when your resources are finite, he's going to invest more in her than he is you, unless there's even when women are like threatening to pull away, which you should, because the guy can be like, okay, I got you. But at the same time, I don't want a guy like that. I wouldn't want a girl like that. I would want someone who would just commit. So is it even worth your time if a guy's doing that? No. That's why I tell women, a majority of the time when a guy does pull away and he comes back, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. That shouldn't have even happened to begin with. So ladies, if you threaten a guy by pulling away or give him the ultimatum is if he you should give the ultimatum anyway. But what I'm saying is, if he's talking to a woman and doesn't realize your value until you pull away, and then he comes back around, that's just a guy who's missing the assets. He's not missing you. He's not missing the opportunity. He doesn't care that you're threatening him with it, long as you come back around. He's missing the assets, not you. Okay. So now jumping into this, how do we correct these type of things? Well, obviously, if you're being taken for granted due to your abundance, you got to step back. Now, this is only dudes who don't want relationships, or dudes who are unsure about you, or dudes who don't make you a priority in terms of like girls you're talking to. I'm not saying a guy needs to make you a priority in his life. I think guys have bigger priorities, such as friends, family, community, mission, purpose, like all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to women, if he's not making you a priority amongst them, I think a woman should tell the guy to take a hike. Now, if the guy's a good dude, don't be playing this scarcity game. Don't be playing this I'm going to pull back shit. You need to communicate, okay? Because usually when a guy does want a relationship or a guy does want a woman, it naturally transitions into one. So what I'm trying to say, I'm just trying to save my ass and give a disclaimer here, because I know a lot of you are thinking, Elliot said pull away. No, not on cool dudes, not on dudes where things are going well. I don't want to take me for granted. He's not going to take you for granted if he truly likes you and truly values you and respects you as a human and a woman, okay, and wants a relationship. It will naturally transition into that. But when a guy's not sure, he's going to take you for granted, and if you're being abundant, you got to step the hell back. Secondly, you got to offer assets that aren't what every other woman can get them. So a lot of women are very attractive. A lot of women, use sex as the bargaining chip. And hey, that's great and all, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of good women out there, and you're not the only woman he can have sex with. So I tell women, you got to kind of fit. I'm not saying be a pick-me girl. I think you should do some self-reflection, go after what you want. And I think your lifestyle, and you will naturally find a guy in those same streams or in those same communities. So, for example, if you are a very fit woman and go to the gym, you probably want a guy who's fit and takes care of himself too. Well, where do you find that? You find him at a gym. You know, if you're a girl who's very into learning languages and studying cultures and traveling and things like that, it's better to find a guy who is into those things also, instead of just going on Tinder and throwing the net out. Well, I'm not saying Tinder's bad, but I mean just throw the net out wide and talk to guys who you just have great chemistry with. It's easy to find chemistry with women. For a man, it's easy to find chemistry. It's hard to find someone who could fit my lifestyle, make me want to be a better person, and who I can see myself with long term. What I'm telling you right now, fitting into his tribe or having a lot of similarities and things in common, that is more likely for a guy to see you long term, to make him want to be a better person, to make him want you in his life than without, because his life is better with you in it. Okay? So, when it comes to being taken for granted, those two things are very, 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 very important. Limit your abundance if he's a piece of shit type of guy, and find a guy who is more your type and you guys have a lot of common things, instead of spreading your net wide and talking to dudes just to talk to them, okay? Because you like, sometimes I tell women all the time, liking a guy is not enough anymore. It's not enough anymore, okay? So, guys who are looking just to have fun and who are not really wanting a relationship, what do? I'm going to be straightforward. It's kind of hard to find or figure out unless you get my course Attraction Academy. There's a lot of detail in there on how to pick these guys, how to spot these guys right away. I actually have a video and a 25 list or quiz on if this guy's emotionally available or not. But for the most part, I tell women, you gotta do your detective work, and there's very common signs. If the guy's newly single, if the guy is recently divorced, if the guy has been cheated on, or if the guy recently cheated on, like last year or two, and or the guy hasn't had a serious relationship in a long time, what makes you think you're the one who's going to change that and break those habits? You're not. You got to remember at the end of the day, it's what's most advantageous for him. That's what guys go after. So if you're giving him these boyfriend, girlfriend benefits, you know, and everything's going hunky-dory and you're treating him like a girlfriend or boyfriend already, why would he commit, unless he wants a relationship? But we're not talking about guys who want a relationship. Unless he wants a relationship, why would he commit to you? What would he gain out of committing to you? He ain't going to get shit out of committing to you. He's already getting everything. In fact, he would actually be losing out committing to you, because if he commits to you with no extra gain, again, guys who don't want relationships, he's going to miss out on the other girls he's talking to. So it's just common sense. I tell women, if you want to find players, just use common sense, use logic, and use context. You will learn a lot about the situation and filter these guys out very fast. The next thing is a guy who says the assets aren't worth the liabilities. That's one of the ones. In the beginning I said there's some things you can't fix. Hey, here's the thing. At the end of the day, men like high reward, low risk. High reward is assets. Low risk is risk is liabilities. Obviously, the more liabilities you have and the more unique they are to you as as the person, and the more he values those things while limiting your liabilities, you're going to be more of a catch in the dating market, and vice versa. I feel like you women are a little too lenient when it comes to this stuff. Like, dude, this guy could be balding. This guy can be have the biggest belly in the world. This guy can be jobless, a Walmart greeter. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm not trying to hate on Walmart greeters, but you get what I'm saying. And you're like, well, he treats me well. Treating you well should be a prerequisite. Like, every dude should be treating you well. You know, that is not a good enough reason to give a guy a chance. Every guy should be treating you well. Why? Because that's just human nature. Treat those how you want to be treated, right? I mean, that's just how it should be. So I think women, you need to raise your standards. You'll filter out a lot of dudes just by doing that. And of course, lastly here, he has finite resources and he's giving them to someone else, right? Just like I said earlier. There's many reasons why a guy is going to start talking to other women. It can be he's bored with you. She might be less dramatic, or you might be too dramatic. And I'm not blaming women for that. Guys are the same way. Guys can be tools. Guys can be asshole. Guys can be aggressive. Guys can be violent. Guys can be protective and jealous and so many things, right? But I'm just talking to women. Maybe what you two have, again, is boring or stagnant now. It's kind of dying off. Maybe you guys are long distance and she lives closer. Maybe she's, I hate to say it like this, and I'm not slut shaming, but she's easier. Whatever it is, it's context. You got to remember, if he's unsure about you, and you guys have been talking about 3 months, and then Silly Sally comes in, and Silly Sally's a cute girl who's fun to be around, and they're hooking up, and she lives next door in the same apartment complex, he'd be an idiot not to talk to her. He'd be an idiot not to go through with that. I'm sorry, ladies, I know that sounds harsh, but he would be an idiot not to go through with that. Because from his perspective, he's a dude who doesn't want a relationship. Okay? So just because he's giving her all these assets doesn't mean he's going to commit to her. It's just her time. You know? So I mean, that's just realistic. That's just how it is. And I think the best thing you can do in that situation is, it's not so much keep a guy from talking to a woman, it's the 6 to 8 date thing. At 6 to 8 dates, or if you find out sooner, this guy needs to know what you want and what you're about. And if you guys are on different pages, he needs to take a hike. No questions asked. Give him an opportunity to miss you. If he wants to go talk to her, have him go talk to her. You're not going to be put on the back burner. Women talk about being high value. Women talk about being respected. Here's your opportunity. Here's your chance, okay? So, with that being said, ladies, I hope I helped you out in some way. Those are the 4 reasons why guys stop talking to you, or at least the common ones on why they lose interest. Again, he's always going to show interest in the beginning. The context isn't created. There's no cost. It's the puppy dog love, or romantic summer fling kind of stage. It's new. It's young. It's curious. And you're in the courtship stage, okay? He's just going to court you. What you're looking for is a guy who goes like this and it kind of mellows out, instead of guys who go like that. And if it goes like that, then it is for one of the 4 reasons I talked about in this video. So, that being said, ladies, I love you all. Take care and peace.